joining us at some point.
Excellent. Yay.
There he is right there.
Benny boy.
Hey, right on time.
How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, good. How are you guys?
Very good, very good. I
well.
like the void in which you're coming to us. It's very it seems religious. Are you by a campfire or something, or are you just also in the same house as Tom Tuck?
I'm in the same house as Tom Tuck. It's subterranean. I don't know how to say that word, but we more or less live underground.
Is it? You mean subterranean? Because subterranean would be just
it's like under a terrarium.
Yeah, under a terrarium. I want to say this right now.
Habitat.
That's the best icon Baldy's ever come up with. That is
nice work, Baldy.
That is me drunk when I'm going to say I'm 20.
That's good stuff.
That is good, clean stuff.
That is good stuff.
A plume of hair.
Yeah, it is. It's a real shock of 80s woman hair, isn't it?
You posted a picture of you and Colt today or yesterday, and your hair even then is like these like thick, almost curls.
That's only 2 years ago. That's just my hair is just long.
It looks different. It suits you. Yeah. You should grow it out again, all the way down. I want like Hercules, Kevin Sorbo area.
It doesn't go down. My problem, my hair goes out like the like a. Here's the thing: it's basically a fro. Yes, I feel like that there's a theme developing here, and I'm so far for it.
Where do they even find these?
King Geo put them up in my Discord.
Amazing. Good. Well played.
They've all been up in my Discord. Also, we have some stream admin before we get into Ben Tarjay goodness. And that is Mega Stream on Thursday is canceled because I have to do a presentation for a grant thing. But it also means I'm getting many pounds. So that's good.
That's excellent. Wait, the British government's giving you this? Remarkable.
British and Canadian. It's with Tim Fitzheim. It's a podcast that will come out eventually. It just means that my entire goddamn life is sat in my kitchen in front of this flag doing things, which is good. But oh my God, like I've talked so much today already, and I'm just like, my voice sucks. Oh,
I feel like you should jump in and say, no, your voice is lovely. Lovely. Don't beat yourself up now. Don't beat yourself up before the project begins.
Yes, this is the truth. This is the truth. It's very important. Hello, Johnny H and friends. Thank you, Wandering Joy. Welcome aboard. Hello. Does this mean? Does this eventually mean when Fitzheim stops talking? Wait, what? No, he never stops talking. He goes forever.
No. Yeah.
All right, let's get down to some business. How was everyone's day in lockdown? We'll start with Ben Hastings Tarjay, pardon me, of Houston, Texas.
It's been eventful. My flatmate Tom Tuck left a kilogram of cheese in the fridge, and he's disappeared for I think 2 weeks on a shoot. And I decided, against my better judgment, to open this bag of cheese, and now the house is close to inhabitable because of the smell. It smells like sour fruit and the forecourt of a petrol station.
Whoa. What kind of cheese is this, and is it good cheese?
Well, no, the cheese tasted grim, and the worst bit is he bought it at a suspiciously low price, and now I know why it was that price. The price of future hospitalization.
It was cheese. I mean, I think Diamond Geyser may be revealing something about her personal life, because she just said it was cheese, not cheese. I wonder how you would know that, Diamond Geyser. Where did he get it? Did he get it at one of the various Turkish shops that line your road? Because they will occasionally have very cheap meat and cheese, and I used to be tricked back in the day to acquiring it, and then my bottom would resemble a cannon.
Well, I've yet to process it internally, so I'll have to get back to you on.
How much of this cheese did you eat that smelled so bad?
I opened an entire pack. The thing is it's a kilogram in multiple blocks. I opened one block, and the smell was so bad, I thought I either have to bury this somewhere or eat all of it. I chose the latter option, and hopefully there's protein in it.
Mm.
What shape did this kilogram of cheese come in? I feel like it wasn't a wheel.
Can you go get one of the other cubes of cheese so we could see it? Is that possible?
Yes. Do I have to open it?
No, I would suggest not opening it because there's no way we can smell.
And you'll probably have to just leave the stream. I feel like it'll shut off your internet.
Yeah, exactly. Also, questions coming in from the chat. How did the cheese taste? That's a great question. We didn't actually inquire to the taste.
It resembled a small bathroom tile, and it tasted what I only imagine sort of wall filler tastes like.
I need to see what this cheese looks like. Can you go get it, please?
I'm going to get it.
Cheese and name only.
Yeah, exactly. Cheese and name only. That sounds like a really old but very insulting thing to say. You, sir, are cheese and name only.
I mean, wait, it was that close? Oh my god, that was so fast.
Put more in the that was so much closer.
So this.
Can you turn it around?
Yeah, can you turn? Yeah, turn it. Yeah,
because I feel like we might be able to see through another side better. It's not quite that. Oh no, he opened it. Oh, Ben.
No, okay, towards the camera. Because the thing is, hang on, I know what to do. Let me do this.
Nice.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, that looks really tasty. That looks like tasty, delicious, soft cheese.
Well, it looks like what I think halloumi is supposed to look like, but it
was not halloumi.
It smells like death.
I thought it looked like a rock hard laundry detergent.
Yeah, or it also looks like one time I lived in Montreal, and one of my flatmates had a group of incredibly sketchy friends, like alarmingly so. And one of them went to Peru to see his brother who bought a hostel, which now that I'm an adult looking back, none of that's true. None that he went to Peru. No one just goes to Peru and buys a hostel. He was involved in the illegal drug trade. And this is how crazy this guy was. Statute of limitations, passing this, and it made me so uncomfortable. He literally came back from Peru, didn't have anywhere to stay because by the way, he went to Peru because he got into a fight with his girlfriend. So he just went to Peru, very stable move there. Then came back. Bear in mind, his friendship with my flatmate was because my flatmate was friends with his girlfriend. So what was his move? Well, I have nowhere to live. I'll just go knock on my flatmate's or my girlfriend's friend's house, and I will stay there. And my flatmate is the kind of person that would be like, well, I should say to this person, get out. But instead, of course, come right in. So I walk in, and there was a man with a bunch of Peruvian dirt-encrusted luggage. It was totally clean. But he opened it and said, look what I brought back from Peru. And it was something stereotypically associated with South America that looked like that he didn't hide. It was just on top of his luggage. And that nothing is scarier than that person being in your house because you're like, oh, you have no fear.
Yeah. Also, cops tracked you. They found it. They were like, let him go. Let's see what he takes this. Let's not bust him now. We can take down someone much bigger than this mule.
I'm so happy that you did not know me then because I didn't. I just like, oh, we got away with it. But I didn't consider that. Like, I remember I saw that and I was like, well, time to leave my own house for a while because I don't want to be around this psychopath. Ben, I feel like, did you ever have crazy housemates? I feel like based on your slapdash artistic vibe that you'd have like a guy named Spike or like Jimmy Scorpion living with you.
I feel like you know a lot of people in their 40s with orange hair.
Oh, for sure. There's a queue. Before I dropped out of university, I lived in what was considered then the working class neighborhood of this particular place. I'm not going to name the place because of what happened. One morning I woke up and my flatmate, who was prone to taking all of the pharmaceuticals under the sun, had invited a guest back. And this guy was known as Bump. And he was lying on our couch with a sawn-off shotgun, which I'd never seen a sawn-off before, and also a line of pharmaceuticals the length of the dining room table. And I was on my way to lectures and sort of startled him. And I'm very glad I didn't lose my life. And it turned out that he was on the run and eventually sort of got arrested in Spain and was put in jail for 14 years. And that was just a regular sort of thing that sort of happened in that house.
I'm going to say this. Spain is not the European country I picture anyone ever getting arrested in. Like, I always feel like if you get arrested in Spain, you did something. Because, like, Spain, in my head, is kind of like, it's like, I'll be fine. Like, it's just like, don't worry. Like, it's just, I don't know what this hand gesture is, by the way. There's a looseness to Spain you don't expect from the rest of Europe. Like, I'm surprised I'm not just arrested at the gate when I land in Switzerland, where they're just like, no, get out of here.
It feels like a country where a lot of British people are extradited from. It feels like the right place to run away from crimes to, as opposed to be arrested for. Also, and I don't know, maybe this is just my knowledge of people who've lived in Ibiza for a long time, but I feel like you can bribe a Spanish cop pretty easily.
Can you bribe a Spanish cop, or can you bribe an Ibiza cop, or can you, the secret third phrase, people just know a bunch of people that lied about bribing cops?
You can definitely. I know people that own nightclubs in Ibiza, and so they definitely bribed cops. Yes, and so you can absolutely bribe Ibiza cops. But I assume that translated over to Spain, and so anywhere that you can bribe, as long as you have some money, if you have enough money to run away from the law, you have enough money to pay off a cop.
Here's my question:
a beat cop.
Have any of you ever been asked for a bribe from a police officer, and did you pay it?
A police officer assumed I was offering them a bribe when I was living in Jakarta, Indonesia, because I had the equivalent of a month's salary in my passport. And I was so sort of wiped out by the 15-hour flight that I just forgot to take it out. And then when I passed it over to this cop, he sort of took the cash out and very much sort of just flagged me straight through the airport.
Oh, shit.
I just want to say it was accidental bribing.
Did he I feel like he should have called you a car in the airport.
Yeah, that's so fun.
The whistle, the doorman.
It's also adorable doing an accidental bribe. Like, I didn't even know that was a thing you could do, but I love that it happened.
Yeah, I've never tried it since. I know friends who've been robbed by cops in other places, and it terrifies. I've never yet been mugged, and it really terrifies me that at some point that's in store for me, and I don't really know what to do. What the protocol is? Do you just hand your stuff over? Yeah. Have you guys ever been mugged?
Yeah. I've been robbed in London, but I wasn't mugged. And John,
was that like a ride by phone snatch?
Yes, my dad is chiming in asking me where my hat is. I haven't gotten it yet. Welcome aboard, Dad. I'll go get it if you want, Pops. I had ride by on a snatch, like a snatch off my head. Also, my police bribery story, my father is going to particularly enjoy. I know he is. But I've never been mugged in the traditional sense. I was almost mugged once as a teenager. We were walking through a park with my friend Paul, not the Paul known to the people on the stream, and someone said, "Give us all your money." And this Paul and he has said this for, I do not need a Leafs hat. I had said this for years, which is, if someone tries to mug me or fight me, I'm just going to get completely naked because you're not going to rob that guy. And this is something he held to, because the guy came out and went, "Give me all your money." And then Paul just started taking his belt off, like literally just like, do this. And the guy ran away. The guy was like, nope. And it's really annoying because it proved that he was right the whole time. But now I want to be there for when he tries it again and it doesn't work.
And someone just grabs his clothes like he was skinny dipping and runs away,
or stabs him in the penis. Like, the other thing is you could get stabbed in the penis.
I had a friend who grew up in Brixton, and he said if anyone ever comes for you, just act weirder than anyone else in the surrounding area, and you'll be left alone.
Yeah.
I used to do this stand-up set where I got the audience to humiliate me, and it resulted in me being spray painted completely pink and covered in shaving foam. And I took the night bus back to my place, and some guys got on to rob everyone, and they robbed everyone except me.
Where's the driver in this? If I'm on a night bus getting robbed, I'm sorry, the driver's hey, excuse me, sir. It's not Bjorn. Excuse me, sir. Can you do something about the bandits on your conveyance?
They can't do anything. They're locked in that booth. They're not bodyguards. They're not tough guys. They're just bus drivers. But what are they going to do? Lock the doors, and now the guys have a bunch of hostages with their knives. You want to create a hostage situation over some wallets and phones?
The door. There's also more of us. Also, fuck you. It's
that's not going to work. You're not going to
English
response.
It's such. Yes, I am. I am a leader. I'm going to say, let's roll.
You just said that you were going to give everything while your friend got naked.
I didn't even get to that point. By the way, I literally got to the point of, wait a minute, what's happening? And literally someone said, give me all the money. And then all I just heard was the undoing of a belt and a thief receding into the night.
But I remember one time I was on a night bus after working a nightclub shift in London, and I was on a bus at 4 a.m. There was a guy who, when I got on, he was laying across, there's the baggage spot when you hard right through the door, and then there's 2 seats next to that. He no shirt, 2 huge chains, jeans, and shoes, unconscious with shades on. And so I walked past that and I was like, 4 a.m. makes sense. No problem. So I went to the back of the bus where I sat, and there were a couple of janitors that worked similar shifts to me. And so we would see each other on the bus every night. So we'd sit at the back and we'd talk shit. And then the guy, 2 factory workers or something came on. They had sort of the gray onesie kind of thing. And the bus driver just stopped and he's like, listen, I'm not allowed to touch that guy for insurance reasons, but he's got to go. I can't allow this on my bus. And so these guys in the onesies were just like, I just want to go home. One grabbed his feet, one grabbed his hands. And as they went to lift him, he puked everywhere and shit his pants simultaneously.
Dutch door action, baby.
Wow.
So they just dropped him. Everyone on the bottom of the bus walked off, obviously. We were just standing at the side. And it was great because we were watching the people top deck, and you could see the smell make its way all the way to the back of the bus. And that bus was just decommissioned for the night. That was a wrap. We had to wait for the next bus that was coming. Of course. But I remember the bus driver being like, I can't get out and I can't touch anybody for insurance purposes. So they're told, literally, it's like a bank manager. It's like, just give them the money. It's insured. Don't be a hero.
I remember I was on a bus. Occasionally what I would do is take the Victoria line, because sometimes the Victoria line would go and then I would miss the connection to the Piccadilly line to get home. Mm-hmm. And then you'd walk up, and I remember I walked up and I got onto a night bus, and it's only 3 stops, and it was pretty empty, but I got on, and a classic North London Finney Park sketch lord would get on. Do you remember they've now been all moved out of gentrification, but there was those certain level where you're like, what is that fucking guy's problem? And this guy was sketchy and weird and being really weird to a lady, and all I just remember was she had a dog at her feet, and the dog jumped up on the seat and started going to the guy, and it was and literally the guy got spooked and got off. I was like, what was? Oh, it was wonderful stuff. Nice. Chris, ever bribed a police officer? I feel like Ben's bribing a police officer story is so sweet and wholesome.
It's so good. It's so nice. No, the closest I ever came, and where I might get to bribe a police officer today, was for a brief period I sold shoes on the black market in Vieux Nice.
And I don't even know where that is.
Old Nice. It's the old built up part in the south east of France. Yeah. So I was staying at a hostel off season, and it was just me and this Tunisian guy that were staying there, and we got along super well. And he was like, hey, I have a business and I've fallen out with my wholesaler. Do you mind coming and helping me for the day?
Yeah, sure.
And I was like, yeah, cool, I can do that. And so he took me in. Oh, damn, I think I'm freezing. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Ben?
Oh, okay, cool. Everything was going chunky. So he took me out, put out his towel, gave me 50 euros, and was like, there's a guy down the street. He's not going to give you the price that he normally gives me, but it's all right. I understand. I'm going to take a hit on this one. We had a fight yesterday, and he won't sell me shoes. And so I went, bought the price. The guy immediately didn't even haggle, gave me the price that the Tunisian guy told me, which tells you how racist France is. That this guy had to haggle his way down here, and this white kid, I was 18, just saunters up out of nowhere, and he's like, yeah, cheapest price possible. Don't worry about it. And then we set it up, but then when cops showed up, he just scrambled it all and ran off, and I just walked down the street. So there was no bribing, I guess, when you're in that area.
That's pretty good.
So this is as close as I came, but never got my shot.
Hilariously also involves the French language, in that I almost had to bribe a cop in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, which if my dad is watching, he's about to say something, I'm pretty sure. In Montreal,
they definitely take bribes as well.
Yeah, so here's what it is. I was on my bike. I went down a hill, going for a little post-work bike ride after working as a barista.
How many of your stories start on a bike?
I love bike riding. I love so many, by the way. Let's actually be honest. That's a very most of my life is spent on a bicycle. I mean, I'd be if they're like, you can't have kids because your balls have a weird banana-shaped divot in the side. I'd be like, well, I know what that was called, but going down a hill on Barrie, going towards St. Catharines. Mm-hmm. I like roll through a stop sign, or maybe I stopped. Cherries up, cop comes, and immediately goes, hey, you failed to stop at that stop sign. You can give me the fine now, or I can write you a ticket. And I remember being like, wait, and this is how stupid and naive I was. I literally was like, but wait, how are you, like, if I give you the fine, and then like, how am I gonna have a record of that? And then I was like, and I remember in real time being like, wait, and I then was like, no, just give me the ticket. And he was so disappointed. Like, he clearly was like, I need some money for lunch. Let me do this. Yeah. And I was like, no, ticket. And it's just so annoying now. Morning, Mary.
Hello, Mary.
It's so goddamn annoying for him because now he has to do all this paperwork, and all he wanted to do was be a criminal. And
I hope you challenged it as well. I hope you made him come to court and prove that you ran that stop sign.
No, I got spooked actually, because I was like, wait, is this guy a corrupt cop? Like, because the thing is, he took all my information. So it's like, if I challenge, like, if he's willing to bribe, if someone challenges his ticket, he's showing up at my house. And my house had people. This is the same time I'm living with someone that's inviting like Peruvian fucking Peruvian smuggly hostile people. You know what I'm saying? Like,
fair enough. I'd forgot about this, but when I was in Montreal, there was a day where they outlawed riding your bike with headphones in.
What?
And
my God, that is a festival of police corruption. That is a absolute, like, they literally just went, like, I guarantee they said this for, and now it begins, and then just clicked their pens.
We're sick of busting drug guys. Let's get some fresh faces in here. Mm-hmm. It's those McGill students. They've got the money.
Yeah, exactly.
So
okay to ride? Sorry, I interrupted your story.
No. No, what were you going to say?
Was it okay to ride with a speaker?
In theory, yeah. Yeah, you could bother everyone else, but not yourself.
This is again why this is why Ben's one-person shows are very good, in that there's so many creative solves to problems that were right there for all of us. We just like, no headphones, well, I'll just go. Because also, by the way, I'm picturing, Ben, if you were there, it's one of those like big like speakers that you'd see for a vinyl set from the 70s, hard soldered onto the back of a bike, just playing deep hip hop, like deep, dirty South hip. Like, is that Timbaland? Is he listening to Papa Sparks?
Yeah. I think I'd probably like convert a tricycle, have a nice big speaker back there, blast some Enya. You know,
nice. Yeah.
Imagine how weird your day would be if you just. Is that and that's just getting louder and louder, and then it's just a thin man from somewhere just gives you a little way.
I feel like I cut Chris off with my new age nonsense.
I'm so glad you did, though. That's a new favorite picture of mine. And one day, if I ever get money, I'm going to have that made, and it's going to be sitting outside your house with a big bow on it.
Yeah, but what you have to understand is this is what streaming is just about interrupting each other. Like in a minute, I'm going to quickly go through the chat.
Also, so
in the chat is appearing as I was getting John. I'm just getting the codes of emotes. I'm not actually getting the emotes come up. It's very strange.
Curious. Oh yeah, some of them are coming up, but I'm getting one with just the letters and numbers.
Yeah, I don't like
stream elements. Yeah, no, so it was the day before the law was supposed to pass, and so cops were out warning people, being like being like, hey, heads up, you can't do that tomorrow, just so you know. And
America, and you live in Britain. And Chris, you live in Britain. Could you imagine the police warning you about a new law in those? Like, it would just not happen.
No, at all. It was such a strange and almost like kind of welcome move. They worked pretty cool about it. But I was a dick. I was 22, and I had my headphones on, and I rode past this cop, and he waved me down, and I knew exactly what he was waving me down for. So I was like, well, let's fuck with the cop. So I burst out in like this maniacal laughter and then shot off on my bike. Jumped into his car, clicks on the sirens, chases me for 6 blocks while I'm weaving between buildings.
You've now just done the worst thing, which is pissed off a cop.
It was the reason I remember this is I was coming down Barry when he finally caught me. So I'm coming down Barry towards Saint Denis. Which is like, it's the Latin Quarter of Montreal. It's a very busy neighborhood. This cop comes in from another street, whips around diagonal in an intersection, blocks 4 ways of traffic, jumps out of his car, and just points like, you off the bike. And I was like, fair enough. You win. You win this round. And he came up. He thought that I was like, he wanted all my information. He thought that I was wanted somewhere. He thought that I was skipping bail. He did. I just thought I was being silly. I was like, I'm gonna laugh him right away. Fuck this pig. And he was very mad.
Like, but here's
I didn't break a law, so he couldn't fucking do anything to me. It was great.
You're not allowed to you're not allowed to ignore. I didn't think you were allowed to ignore a police officer being like, pull over.
Apparently, if you're on a bike, those don't necessarily count unless you're Kyle Kinane.
I mean, this is why I love Montreal. Montreal is such a go-ahead corrupt. Like, this is going to offend no one in Montreal. Montreal is so crazy corrupt that he was probably like, I would have run from me too.
Yeah. They had, what, 3 mayors in the last 10 years because all of them were brought down on corruption charges?
I think it's something like the last 8 have faced corruption charges. Like, it's a Detroit level of mayors gone to jail for corruption.
Remember what a sinkhole the size of a bus collapsed right in front of McGill in the center of town because they just paid the mafia to do all the roads and bridges? And so now they're falling apart.
I just remember when a bridge, just a bunch of concrete, fell onto the highway in the morning. And they were like, oh, we got to do something. And then they installed a bunch of nets that were faulty. So then the nets started falling on cars in just the most like, you guys need to have a meeting. Ben, what artistic pursuits are you doing in lockdown? How are you focusing yourself, steeling yourself against the good night?
It's a good question. I'm applying to art school, so I'm trying to put together a portfolio.
Ooh,
nice. I remember when the last recession rocked our generation back in 2008.
Yeah, I could really do without all of the different recessions our generation gets to go through. It's really fun. Because what's also annoying is none of our parents who are all baby boomers will cut us some fucking slack. Like, that's not fair. My dad 100% cuts our generation some slack. Like, he's like, yeah, we fucked you, buddy. What are you going to do? All right. My other parent, not so much.
I had friends who just went, you know what? I'm going to go and do a master's, and sort of managed to somehow ride the recession out on some sketchy student loan business. So I thought, I dropped out of uni. I really want to study art. Why not? Let's see what happens.
Yeah. There's something about you that, like, it suits art school. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I want to come upon, I don't know, like, I just feel like I'm going to be walking through the woods in some place, and then this pink structure will come out of the way, and I'm like, it's a Target. And it's like, what is it? It's like a gas station, and it works. And you're like, oh, all right, great.
What a great project. I built a functioning petrol station. Ding, ding.
I mean, I could 100% see it. What kind of What kind of art would your focus be in art school? Would it be all painting, the dogs with playing poker?
Yeah, I really love drawing. I love book art, and I really like social art. And I've tried to sort of, in the last few years, well, since 2015, make my comedy also reach into social art. So working with the audience and building something.
And what social art means?
What? Sorry?
What does social art mean?
That's a good question. To be honest, I don't really know a dictionary definition term, but my friend Julia Vogel, who's a great sculptor, you should check out her work. She and I made an installation a few years ago for an exhibition, and she introduced me to social art then. And my understanding of it in context of our project is working with the audience to build something together, usually from a question that the artist asks, and then the data that the audience respond with, and then using that data to make something.
So would that be like the Maria Abramovich thing, or where she sat and looked into your soul?
Wait, what?
Did you not hear about that? She just sat in I think it was in MoMA, and she just sat in a room and people lined up single file, and she wasn't allowed to say anything or touch you, but she would just look deep into your eyes and you would have a connection with her in that moment.
Oh.
And then Jay-Z turned it into a music video. It was a very strange time.
Was this 2005?
Ish, yeah.
Weird time.
Yeah.
Wait, is she in an episode of Sex and the City?
I do not know. That's a question I don't have an answer for.
I think that because they go and see some sort of woman artist in a thing that was like very New York turn of the 20th century nonsense. Like it could 100% have been that.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely plausible. It's the kind of thing that the thing that went viral for it was her ex sat down and did it with her, and they both like started crying. And so people watched that because it was very moving. I'm sorry, Ben, I cut you off, but I was just wondering if it was that kind of thing.
Ben, would sort of the time you were a DJ and you built a nightclub with the audience out of a box, would that have been social art?
Yeah, I would say yes, but I think it has to have an altruistic outcome. Usually, I think it has to affect the community in a positive way, not just bringing people together and doing a thing, but doing a thing that then maybe has some sort of return over the, has a payoff in the future for the community. So that's my very sort of, this is why I need to go to art school, so that in 5 years' time, you can ask me this question again and I can tell you definitively.
I mean, you clearly haven't spent a lot of time with people who went to art school, because there's no definitive answer coming out of any, like if anything, you just get more questions. So like your last show that I saw in 2019, where it was all about like family stories, and then I don't know if this was intentional, but did you mean for then the audience to start reflecting on their own family stories as you were going through it? Because I felt this like all of this sort of connection and this like stirring weird sort of thought of like my reflection and relationship with my family as brought through yours, and then I was walking around Edinburgh going, "Old Targ's done it again."
Yeah, I think that was my intent. Well, yeah, my intention with that show definitely was my yearning for honesty. My family are, you could argue, in the business of telling lies. And so I grew up in a household where every sort of...
what do you mean by in the business of telling lies? Do you mind me to go deeper on them?
Well, I guess...
Are you Tucker Carlson's son?
It would be so funny if you just like started lying right now. It's like, well, Dad's Boris Johnson.
I guess you could say things like marketing intelligence and that sort of, and diplomacy, that sort of thing, where truth isn't apparent.
Narrative building as opposed to truth telling.
Yeah,
totally. And I think I because I grew up in a family sort of in a strange way weaponizing that against their children, the show was trying to find a moment of honesty in the stories I grew up with, and hoping that the audience somehow would walk out the other side and want to be honest with each other, because I see that as the most loving thing that we can do for each other, is be honest. And that, that's probably extremely childish of me to say. But
childlike, I would say.
Who's
not necessarily childish? Big difference.
Elvis Carlson. Yes, very much childlike as opposed to childish. Ben, favorite artist. Let's go around the horn. Ben, favorite artist.
That's tough. I grew up next to the Men Hill collection in Houston, Texas, which is the largest collection of Rene Magritte's work. I love his stuff. It's beautiful, but it's funny. It's witty, but it's also really sort of competently executed. And I think it just bleeds into everything I've ever tried to do, to make stuff funny and beautiful, as much as it's hard to do that. And yeah, what about you guys? Do you have favorite artists?
I mean, I'm a big old Ai Weiwei Andy Warhol nonsense. Like, I love just big, stupid, does this really have a point? Well, an argument could be made that it does, but it also could just be nonsense and pop art and that Dada, like Dada in general. I love just sort of like, is this art? Yeah. Why? Fuck you. That's why. Like, there's something about that very much stirs my like just, you know, I like that you have to explain it, that the idea that it is art because someone says it's art is I'm a big fan of anything that doesn't actually require skill or talent. It just requires you saying, like, you know, punk rock, stand-up comedy, pro wrestling. It just requires you going, yeah, you just turn up. It's
just the confidence to say it is what it is.
Yeah,
and
everyone
will just follow along.
Once you're on the boat, you are a pirate. Rene Magritte, by the way, it's the guy with the apple in front of his face. For those of you who don't.
Thank you very much.
What about you, Chris?
I like Canaletto. He was this Italian painter who painted canals and canal boats and people working on them. I just really love him. I came across when I was
beautiful answer that is. It's just like a nice painting of a canal.
I fucking love it. When I first moved to London, I had no money, and so I spent all my time in the National Gallery. And I found that his paintings were often the ones that drew me in more than anyone else's. Because when I go through the museums, I don't look at every painting. I just walk through rooms until something grabs me. And I found every single time Canaletto would pull me in. So yeah, I would say him. Also, Mr. Soup Cans, obviously, which is what I call Andy Warhol. He's Mr. Soup Cans.
Is that one of your stream elements? I will also say this. This is one of the things that no one talks about with London that's the best, because I've also been broke as a joke in London. And when I was just like visiting and touring, and you don't have any friends in a new city, this is something that no one talks about that I think is very important for your human growth, is you have to go live in another country, because you have to live a week where you literally go, I don't have any friends in this like I have to now, you either like make new friends or you're done. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's a very important skill. And this is said to other people that have lived in a lot of different countries, where you have to develop that ability. Also, you have that weird moment where you're like, my best friend is this bartender because we've spoken for 10 minutes.
Oh, this bus driver's awfully chatty. Hope we don't get robbed.
Yeah. He's not going to help no one shits and vomits at the same time. I'll lose my best friend. But the idea that all of the art galleries in London are free, you should donate. And once you have money, I've gone back and donated.
Yeah, I've been a member of the National Gallery for the last few years.
I remember I really bummed out a docent of the Tate, because I literally just walked in, put money in, and walked out, because I'd gone there so many times for free. And I just had, I think, £10, and I just popped in and just did it. And I don't know why, but he got really offended. Like, it was something, like, I think he thought there was a scam going on or something. But I was just like, I've been sitting on your weird swings in your giant hall forever, and I feel like I should pop in.
Maybe it's like, we're not a charity case. God damn it. We're artists. This is bullshit. What are you, my dad? Just putting money in my account? Fuck you.
What would you say is the worst place to be alone in? Which country, city, worst city to be alone in?
I mean, London's hard. London is a tough place to be alone in, because it's really big and really impersonal. And even if, like, I had friends that lived in London when I moved here, but they lived an hour and a half away from where I was. And so even then, they weren't living in the same city as me. And everything's so expensive. It costs £5 to leave the house. So I mean, for me, it's been London. I've lived in a bunch of places, and by far the hardest place was London, especially because I didn't have money. So I couldn't go into pubs and just meet people, which is like an easy thing to do in the UK. If you're going to sit at a bar, you'll end up talking to somebody. But I couldn't afford to do that either. So I'm basically just like homeless plus. I've got a roof, but no community. I've got no sense of home. And so this is absolutely the hardest place I've ever found to be alone. Like I'm set now. I've got a nice community, but moving here, that was really hard.
How long did it take you to build the community up?
6 or 7 months.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was like I had acquaintances, but it was about 6 or 7 months before I was like, oh, this is a friend. This is someone that I know and knows me. You know?
There is something very odd of that. I always think of it as like, you're my guy. Now I got to get the other guy for when you're tired. Like you kind of have to build that up very slowly.
Yeah.
Ben, what about you? Loneliest place you've ever been?
I'd say probably in my own head. So that can be anywhere. I think I went on my first solo holiday in 2018. I was single. I'd been single for a long time, and I'd also made the choice to be celibate until I could, I suppose, until I could own my loneliness, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And I went to Lille for like £30 on the Eurostar, and just wandered around, not really doing anything, and feeling like everyone knew I was desperately single. And that was pretty lonely.
I mean, I got to tell you, one of the loneliest places I've ever been is Lille, France. It is such a weirdly small, desolate, doesn't look like France place. For those of you who don't know, Lille, France is one of the 2 first out of the gate stops when you're on the Eurostar. The other one is Calais, which people want to go to less now because they feel really guilty because you can just see essentially a concentration camp over the hill. So they go to Lille because, you know, it's still the West. We have to ignore our problems. What did you do in Lille? How long were you there for?
I think I was there for 5 days.
Did you come back refreshed from that holiday?
Not really, no.
It sounds like you went on like a meditation retreat, but in a city.
It sounds like you took your depression on the road.
A meditation retreat accidentally, with no sort of HR department to sort of offload on at the end and go, these are the things I've learned. I went to see the red pandas at the zoo, and that was quite nice. I have to say, it was pretty fancy.
They're delightful.
I'm going to tell my Lille story, but before we get to that, I want to bring this point up to the group. Also, chat, sorry for ignoring you, but tough. I mean, actually, the chat has been pretty much like spot on, just commenting. I Ninja Kick You has just said, I can drive an hour to say that. David Hoare loves the National Gallery. Poppy 2323 agrees with Ben. Loneliest places inside her head. Hey, David Hoare. John Hastings Comedy. Go fuck yourself, John Hastings Comedy. Coming in from Alex Watson because I'm ignoring the chat. Very good.
Hey, King Gio.
Do you remember as a kid, zoos were the better place for the animals? Was I the only one that was fed that propaganda of they're safe, they're away from predators, all of that? So this was a very big Toronto Zoo propaganda thing then. I would glad that we brought this up. So Canada has zoos. Basically, Canada has a bunch of places where we inflict winter on animals that are from Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Toronto, think about it.
What's the saddest situation you've seen a sort of an animal from Africa in Canada?
I saw white tigers in September in Toronto at the zoo, and looking back, those tigers were not living their best life.
No.
They are from, I believe, they're not from a cold place. Let's put it that way. And they've been shipped there as a tourist attraction. I also went to Marineland, which I want you all to Google what the fuck happened at marine land. Don't get me
Oh,
started on the Dion quintuplets. This is such an inside niche
Oh,
Canadian
wow.
reference. Do you
Jesus
remember
Christ.
the Dion quintuplets? Chris,
I
you
know
them?
I know the idea of the Dion quintuplets. I don't think I know anything about them though.
I think the Dion quintuplets are sort of like Canada's Royal Tannenbaums, and they're like they can read books, and they're only 4. One of them has a spinning wheel. So I was the only one that I thought zoos were good for animals until I must have been in my 20s, and I talked to a hippie chick, and she was just like, "But wait, what about this point?" And I was like, "What?"
Hey, Richard, I didn't have that. I remember going to the aquarium as a kid, and we had orca whales, and they had I remember looking at it, and I think it was the first time I ever saw an animal, and I was like, "That's a sad animal."
This is in Vancouver.
And
do you remember that old polar bear that they just let die at the Vancouver Aquarium? Do you remember? Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
No.
It was sadder than what Ben just said about being lonely in his own head, and that was a beautifully well-timed double. This fucking okay, so they had a polar bear at the Vancouver Aquarium, and they were like, well, we realize now this is probably just torturing this poor beast, but instead of just quietly letting it die alone in quiet habitat away from the public eye, here's what we'll do. We'll leave it in its enclosure here in the aquarium and just let it die. And it was the last animal in the zoo portion of the Vancouver Aquarium.
Oh man, why even were they still charging admission? You want to see this polar bear die? Double the cost.
Yes, I saw it as a child, and there was come see the last animal, the last polar bear in captivity, and it was literally looking at this. I just remember it had such saggy skin. You're just this poor fuck.
Oh my god. Oh my god. No, we didn't. I didn't see that. We spent one night sleeping over in the aquarium when I was in 7th grade, so I was 12. And that was actually magical because they put us next to the windows of the beluga tank. And the way that it was lit, it was like they were sort of dancing in starlight. And luckily, when I was 12, the belugas didn't have that sad fin that sort of showed you the depression that was kicking in. They were all still sort of frolicking. So that was actually quite beautiful. I also learned that if you ever see a cockroach, don't step on it because that's how they lay their eggs. And then you got thusans of them.
What?
It was a super educational tour because when we were at the aquarium, they're like, heads up, we have cockroaches. If you see one, please don't crush it. So we're trying to deal with it. Yes, if you see one, do not step on it. Then you are infested.
That's crazy.
Where I grew up in Texas, they'd use blow torches on cockroaches. That was the way of getting rid of, full-on warfare.
I mean,
how?
What a Texas way of doing that, by the way.
everyone
else is getting
Bay of Agent Orange.
Yeah. Oh, this fucking move for Salt can fuck right off. This is not a thing. Ben, do you know what I'm talking about? Have you seen this?
Run it by me.
There's this weird concept because we've reached the level of putrescence with food preparation where there's now a way to distribute the salt properly over a piece of food. And that is supposedly to hold it you're sort of in this bird-like function like this. And then you spread the salt so.
What it was basically this really sexy European guy in America was doing it. And everyone just fell in love with him, and then they started copying him. But that was it. He would wear shades indoors. He wore shirts that were too tight, and he found a way of sprinkling salt while showing you his guns. It was a really impressive culinary move, and he was really good with knives. He could just sort of move stuff around, insanely talented, but it's specifically sexy, and that's what changed the game.
It sounds like people are allowing an 80s villain to cook.
Yes.
Exactly, yes. It's the bad guy from Karate Kid 3 is back, and he's going to help Johnny. It's okay, Canada banned captive whales and dolphins, but currently imprisoned are accepted. So feel good about that. You know what? I don't feel good about it. I think it's time now to deploy my Lille, France story, which was it was in 2018. Ben, maybe you were there at the same time. Ben, when were you in Lille, France?
I think February 2018.
Holy shit, I was there in February 2018.
That's when they put the sail on the Eurostar.
I love this idea that you can track comedians' traveling habits by when the sales were going on.
Mine was not bought at a sale price. I'm sure I've told this somewhere, where I almost got banned from the UK because of immigration problems.
What?
Nope.
So I flew to Portugal to film a commercial. Stimmerol, the one in the canoe. By the way, fun fact: when I got there, there's just weird things about being a Canadian where I feel like I got there and they're like, so you just canoe up and do this, and it was like you canoe against the current. They wanted me to canoe against the current, like go up to a girl, like throw a thing to her in perfect timing, all this sort of stuff. And I was like, I actually can do this because I know how to canoe. But you know that this isn't like a thing everyone knows how to do. And they're like, what are you talking about? You just like get in and paddle. And I'm like, do you know what a current is? And by the way, it was like it may have been an estuary. It was like a river that receded out into the ocean, but it wasn't an ocean. It was the weirdest thing I'd ever seen. Where we got there and there was literally like water up to the banks. And as we were filming, the water was receding, which they didn't know about. It was an online meme company filming its first commercial. So like the producer was so like, I asked so many questions. They were like, wait, what? No. Like they didn't take my measurements. They just went and bought clothes based on what they thought my body was like. And I was like, you are fools.
They didn't check the charts.
I'm a freak. And so then they, what do they do? So we do all that, but anyway, I get back and they go, okay, it was supposed to be a 2-day shoot. It turned into a 1-day shoot. So I went to the UK a day early. My visa was supposed to be totally fine. I get there. They don't know how to manage my visa at London City Airport. So they almost turned me away. And if you get turned away at a driving border, you can just go, I choose not to enter. Doesn't go on your file. Mm-hmm. But at an airport, you don't have that option. So you were just automatically barred for the country. But I was like, what the fuck? And I basically was lucked out by, I had so many British visas in my company, in my passport rather, that they were like, there's no way this guy has done something fraudulent, or if he has, like, it's going to be much bigger. I was there for like an hour and a half as they figured this out. It finally came down to this. Because I wasn't working that day, they would stamp my passport and I could go in for 24 hours. They put 24 hours on the like the touristy thing, because it's Britain, so they still stamp it and write it. Mm-hmm. And I had to go out, get another passport stamp, and come back that day. And I was like, should I? But I was like, I didn't want to fly because they don't deal with those visas enough in London City for it to be worth it. So I went, I'll go to Lille, France on the Eurostar. And I had to get it done quick because a fucking blizzard was coming in. Which I only figured out when I got to Euston. I'd bought my ticket and they were like, who knows if there's any more trains coming back. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Damn. All I want to do is just go to Carl's house and sleep in his nice bed where I was staying, get to Lille, France. And Ben, you could attest to this. The train station is
a train station.
It's open air. It's not an indoor enclosed train station. And it's a snowstorm. And because it's France, the military went to go have dinner. So they had to close the border. So I just stood there for 3 hours smoking in a snowstorm. Until I finally just went, fuck this. And I walked into a hotel and sat in the lobby, which helped out because a man in a wheelchair also got waylaid because there were no cabs. And so he like, his map blew away. I don't know. And he's like, I just moved here. Do you know where this is? And I was like, I don't, but I have enough French that if we get the concierge over, we can figure this out. And then we did, and he did, thank you. And then I said to the concierge, can you call him a cab? And the concierge, in the most France way, went, it's not that far. And I was like, he's in a wheelchair. It's snowing, you monster. Leo France can go fuck itself. That's what I'm going to say.
I used to mess with the British border whenever I'd fly in because I have an Irish passport and it was expired, and I knew the law that I was allowed to come in on an expired passport, but they often didn't. And so that same energy that led me to laugh at that cop and ride off would get me every single time I would show up, and my wife would sort of breeze through, and then she would watch and she'd just look at the smile, this fucking smug asshole smile that I'd have on my face as the border guard would be like, well, you can't come in. And I'd be like, yes, I can. Yeah. Yes, I can. They go, all right, well, I'm going to have to talk to my manager. I was like, no problem. You're going to regret this. You've got a day of training ahead of you as a result of calling in on this.
Did you also have your Canadian, like you had 2 passports?
Yeah, I've got my Canadian one, which is in date. And so they just had to accept it as a proof of nationality. So, yeah,
Are you allowed to get on a plane with one passport and then check into another country with a different one?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you are. I think it's one of those things where how are they going to fucking know?
Yeah, you definitely can. As long as they're both yours. They can't have different names on them.
I mean, I hate Brexit with every rotten tooth in my head, but I do love that now North Americans get to use gates and the Europeans have to wait to go through the border. Like, it's so funny to me. Although, for the love of fucking God, I don't live there anymore. But that was the always nightmare, because with my visa, I had to always go check in, and that was always such a nightmare. Because they always had to call, like, they would look at it and be like, "Oh yeah, this." Oh, I remember once one woman, because it's like a thing of like you're not supposed to have one steady job with one of the visas I had, and I was like, "Oh, I'm a comedian." And this just shows how different our times were. This one was like, no, you're supposed to have different jobs. What's your other job? What's your other job? And another customs agent went, Maria, let him in. And just back to it. And I was just like, oh, Maria, you are not liked here. You are not fucking liked.
She was the Dwight Schrute of the border.
Yeah, just fuck off, you
cut it
fucking dogs. Get out of the way. What's the biggest crime you've ever committed, Ben? This is going purely based off of Diamond Guys are saying crime tips. I feel like Ben never committed a crime, or he's about to admit to being a gentleman jewel thief in Belgium sometime in the late 2000s.
Well, I mean, the fact that his favorite artist is the apple in front of the face guy, and that's the Thomas Crown Affair artwork. It's, the evidence is mounting, Ben.
I do like that Werner Herzog thing of like, if you're not privately funded or existing in a place where there are public funds, you can steal from corporations.
Yeah, so I feel the same way.
I may have done in my youth a lot of that quite skillfully, but maybe not.
Oh yeah, I actually am now just remembering that there were certain projects I may or may not have been involved in that involved construction implements that may or may not have found their way from one organization into our sticky little hands. I totally forgot about that. Entire thing may have happened. Yeah. All right, let's move off that subject. A bunch of things just came flooding back into my memory.
I went when I was at university and not in a particularly good headspace. I did a lot of graffiti of positive messages around the sort of derelict parts of the town.
Where did you go to university?
I went to a place called. Wait, if I tell.
Yeah, don't dox yourself now. Don't.
Yeah, but wait, statute of
limitations on the stream. Always be doxing. ABD. Yeah, am I right, guys?
Always be doxing. Always be doxing. Coffee is for doxers.
I went to university in the Midlands of the UK.
Okay, cool.
Think of one of the big places.
I mean, the idea that you were graffitiing positive affirmations in the Midlands is, if anything, a incredibly important public service.
Yeah, it's public service. It's still required.
Yeah. That place, just someone needs to hate fuck them with happiness. It's so deplete, because the North is joyous in England. Like, it's so rebelliously wet and damp. Everyone's having a night. But you get to the Midlands is kind of like the mandolin. Like, it's not annoying enough to be criminal. It's just like, fuck off.
Whoa, what a shots fired at mandolins.
Name one
such a charming instrument.
It is absolutely. When have either of you ever thought it's time to listen to some lovely mandolin music?
Never, but haven't you ever been on a trattoria and someone busts out a mandolin and you go, this perfectly complements my penne arrabbiata?
I have never.
I feel like Springsteen probably cracks open a mandolin every now and then.
I mean,
Yeah.
that if anything goes towards my point, because I'm going to say this right now: Bruce Springsteen, possibly the most overrated musician of all time.
Outrageous. Outrageous. That is outrageous.
Yeah, I'm saying it. I don't know if I actually believe it, but I am saying it.
You're wrong about that. Breaking Bad is better than The Sopranos. Not even
That
kidding.
is not true.
Mandolins are fantastic.
Man,
Bruce Springsteen is amazing.
I think Bob Dylan is a faker.
I also agree with that 100%. I do also think that Bob Dylan is a bit of a fucking hackaroo.
But don't you wouldn't that put him in the Andy Warhol sense of like, look what I'm going to get away with?
For sure.
I'm going to call it art and everyone will get involved.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm in the basement thinking about the government. He's just holding the fucking lyrics as he tosses them away. That's postmodern. That's art.
Like that. I got news for you. I like that a lot. Also, Allen Ginsberg's just going through the trash. What the hell? This is the thing I don't like about the modern age time is there's not enough weirdos just involved in creative stuff anymore. Like it's all too businessy. Like I feel my generation was the last one where there were genuinely like scary homeless people also doing stand-up comedy. Well, he's never going to get a gig because that would involve them having a bank account or an ability to be tracked in some way. They just know to show up here on a Wednesday and say something.
The worst thing that happened to the arts was rich people stopped being ashamed when their kids went into them.
Such a great point.
It used to be the worst thing your kids could do. You wouldn't tell you'd lie to your friends about what your kids were up to if they were in the arts. You'd tell them some fucking, they're doing things for humanity. They're volunteering. They're a painter. But now they're just like, I'm funding my daughter while she sculpts facades of housing estates in Hull.
When I told my folks that I was dropping out of med school to do stand-up, my mum sent me all of the newspaper cuttings for job offers for every single week for 5 years, despite the fact I had other jobs.
Wow.
Used to write a sort of Christmas letter to all of her friends about how well her children were doing and would just omit anything that I was involved with regarding stand-up.
Yeah.
I can go deeper than that. I sort of accidentally won a stand-up competition years ago. And I got given some money and I mentioned it to my mum and she said, "Oh, interesting. Tell me more. What is this money you're getting for stand-up?" I told her, it is something people do get paid for when they get really good. She said, "Well, let me take that money and look after it." And she still has it. I don't know where it's gone.
Wow.
Tried very hard to stop me, and it has only made me want to do it more. So, Chris, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I can affirm. Hate your
100%.
And that will make them good artists.
I'm just right now picturing you as a doctor, Ben, and I'm just like I mean, you didn't follow it, but I just couldn't see you. I couldn't see you steely delivering the phrase "bone death" to a 35-year-old John Hastings after he hit the pavement on a bike. Like, I just feel like you'd be like, see this man made out of copper wiring? He'll explain what's wrong with you.
I could see you being like a great pediatrician. I think he would be such a good children's doctor. I so warm or working with the elderly, like when you do those retirement home tours.
Oh yeah, you did
dementia people.
Oh, I totally forgot about the dementia. How did that go? The dementia stand-up time.
It's good, yeah. I mean, people are still wanting us to do it. It's just they've obviously and very understandably closed all the home. So
rightly so.
Got a few like online ones to do, but I don't know how that's going to go.
Yeah, unless it's on a big screen, they'll just be confused.
I just want to point out D-Car's amazing point.
That is that's a callback to a Versus the Audience that I did with Laura Lex 3 months ago.
Wow.
D-Carb going deep on that. Well played,
D-Carb's
man.
in the running for Governor General of the Stream, obviously. I mean, and this is also a callback to Ben's 2012 award-winning stand-up show, leading patients out of the callback, and he gets rounds there. I remember that was my first Edinburgh Festival, and I didn't know Ben there, but I caught that because I would be flyering from my show at the ending, or going to do a Laughing Horse gig at the end of his show every day.
Please tell me you flattered my audience. That would make me so happy.
I'm sure I must have, because your audience, for those of you who don't know, Ben, like, I don't actually know how you got to where you were, but like you would be in front of where, this is very inside Edinburgh, you're on the Cowgate is a lowered road where there was a medieval road that was where they used to run the cows through the city of Edinburgh, but is now a lowered area with a bunch of bars and venues, a lot of which are there during the Edinburgh Festival. You were at the Underbelly Cowgate. Is that where you were doing that show?
Yeah.
But then you were around at the Espionage, which is the Laughing Horse venue next door. Or did you lead them there and then run away and get on? What did you do? Explain the ending of your show. You know it better than I do.
The whole audience followed me out, and we'd walk down that sort of archway which leads into the Underbelly venues.
Mm-hmm.
And then take a right as if you're walking towards Grassmarket. And I had to clear it with the council, so we went up into the car park, I think, of Espionage, the nightclub.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then I disappeared, and the audience were kind of left in the middle of nowhere. And then I used to be able to run back into the venue and just watch them from a window and cackle with mischievous delight. That was my favorite bit of each day, which shows you the kind of asshole I was back then.
I love that mischief. I love that mischief inclination. That's excellent.
But wasn't there more to it than that, or is that it?
Well, yeah. The end of the show, the audience comes outside with me on the hunt for a beating stick to beat me with. And at the moment, we discover the beating stick in the car park. And at the moment that the audience member is about to take their the swing, a bicycle comes out of nowhere, and I jump on the back and we ride off.
That's what I remember every day. And like people were amazed at that shit. Also, Decarb, thank you so much for the subscription. I don't know who you subscribed to, but thank you so much.
I think it was you. Yeah, because he subscribed to me earlier today.
Thank you so much for the subscription, Decarb.
Decarb is good audience.
You're a good boy. And currently in the running for Governor General of the Stream, which I think makes sense. How many people were involved in the logistics of that show? Because I did exactly one show that had more than just me in it, that was with you building a set. And I found that so weird and odd to have anyway. Like, it's one of those ones where I'm like, I totally respect someone who could be collaborative in that way and have that many moving parts, but I'd be like, well, now I just have all this anxiety.
It was a great team. Deck Monroe, who's a really good friend.
Oh, nice.
Mark Dean Quinn, who's an artist and comedian, and another guy called Owen Donovan, who now runs Burke's Nest.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was like us four, and then my partner at the time, and I tried to invite other comedians each day to get involved. So the show kind of grew and expanded, and it was really stressful. And then what was additionally stressful was going on tour. I think I did maybe sort of the best part of 30 dates at various festivals, and I had to just do it on my own because I couldn't afford to bring other people with me, and it made the show difficult to do, but also completely changed my act because props break your back when you have to carry them everywhere, and I think it was the right show for me to do then, but I wouldn't be able to do it now. It's just, I genuinely love the way that you guys can just rock up at a venue and make people laugh with your mouths, that you don't need to sort of scour the rows of home base. And
and I mean, especially the home base in the area where you both live, because that home base is possibly populated with the worst customer service staff I've ever encountered in my entire fucking life, including being told we don't have light bulbs. And I once
just none.
No, we don't have any light bulbs.
How can they say that when the first like 3 rows are just lights?
This is what I literally said. I was like, I'm looking for this light bulb, and they went, we don't have light bulbs. And I literally pointed over there, and they were like, maybe we do. I don't know. Like that home base is so like I won't be specific. I don't want to be specific because it's going to give away where people live, and that's not fair.
ABD, buddy. Always be doxing.
Always be doxing. Do you want me to say it? I'll say it. Fuck it. It's the home base on Green at the beginning of Green Lanes in North London. Go in there and get ready to experience literally the worst treatment outside of being physically assaulted. I went in there asking for a plunger in a tone that clearly denoted I needed one immediately. And the person said, why would we have plungers? And I said, well, you sell toilets. And they were like, so that doesn't mean it needs to come with a plunger. And I was like, and I was like, where should I go? And they were like, Poundland. And I was like, what? And then I went to Poundland, and there were plungers there. And I choose to believe it's because so many people were sent by home base to that Poundland that they were like, we might as well fucking get some plungers.
I remember going in there during the like lockdown. I can't remember what I had to get. I think it was light bulbs. I didn't ask. I just looked for myself. I know better than to ask anyone. Yeah, I'll explore. It'll be fine. And we got to the checkout, and they have the plexiglass divider and everything, and you shouldn't have to touch anything. And it says like, everyone please wear masks. None of the staff were wearing masks.
Sure, why not?
This was back when everyone was wearing gloves as well. So no one was wearing gloves. And she did everything but lick what I bought. Like, she couldn't have gotten closer to it. What kind of light bulb is this? I need to find the wattage. It was remarkable.
I mean, Baldy does make the good point. That sounds quite helpful. They didn't have plungers, and they sent you some plunger. I mean, that is one way to look at it, I got to tell you.
To be fair, I mean, you know, if I worked at that home base, I'd probably want to pass the time by punking every single person that came in there.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, but what's also weird is that mall is also filled with such friendly customer service staff in all other of the shops, which is rare. Like that Sports Direct, so helpful. Remember, I was in there looking at
always
shoes?
Empty though.
Always empty. Always suspiciously empty.
I think that's why they're just like, oh, our jobs are safe for another day.
I remember I was gonna buy some running shoes, and they said, "Come back tomorrow; they'll be on sale." And I remember being like, "It's Sports Direct. How much cheaper can these get? Cheaper."
Nice.
Favorite British shop? Go ahead. Mine's Pret a Manger.
I'd have to say Bar Bruno, which is it's a greasy spoon in Soho, which my grandfather took me to when I was 4, and my uncle and I go there every week to catch up.
Nice.
And you know, it's the only place where I kind of know all of the wait stuff and it's just dirty, good, greasy food. Love it.
Where is this place? I love I like a nice Soho location that isn't yuck. You know what I mean? Like a Soho location that isn't kind of covered in cocaine and bankers. I did put the shade back on the lamp. Yes, I did, because it felt like I was living inside an anarchist's apartment, but I'll take it off.
It's just off Berwick Street Market, just behind Gosh Comics.
Is Gosh Comics gone? No.
Still there. Thank praise the gods.
Yeah, because then I was like, well, then I have nothing to do and this always happens when you're meeting someone in Soho, is you get there on time and you get the aforementioned always text message of anyone who lives in London, tube 20 minutes late, and then you're going, time to walk around Gosh Comics and be like, there's a Peruvian artist who's made a 10-part series about the Spanish Inquisition. Let's do it.
It's a good spot. What about you? Favorite British?
Yeah, what about you, Chris?
It would be either, I mean, like, if it's a store, Reckless Records, right near Berwick Street there. I love being in there. Every year on my birthday, my wife and I go down there and we hit both record stores facing each other. And then we go get delicious burgers, probably at Hawksmoor. But But as for like greasy spoons, there's one just across the street from the worst home base in the world called the N4 Diner.
Yes, that place is very
100%. The N4 Eatery. I love the family that owns it are sweethearts. They I remember my wife and I would go in all the time and we would get breakfast and coffee, and they they were more interested in her than they were in me, but they were still very, very nice. But they were always just involved and kind, and the service was good and the portions were big. I love it there. Yeah.
It's sort of £8 for a week worth of food, all fried.
Yeah.
I used to go there. Sorry, go ahead, John.
I was going to say they also do a nice. They put peas in with the mash, which makes you feel like it's healthier, even though you're like, yeah, you guys have just grilled, like, because their hash browns, by the way, are just a bunch of mashed potatoes they've put on a grill with all the grease from your eggs and sausage. Which I'm going to tell you, it's a great move. That's a fucking alpha move, and I welcome it.
Oh, I miss foils, I gotta say. I miss 7 stories of books.
Yeah. 7 stories of book, and another place where good luck getting any assistance. I remember I asked where I was looking for a copy of something George Orwell, and I asked, "Where's George Orwell?" And the guy, I don't remember what he said, but he said something along the lines of, "Well, he's good, so maybe try looking in the good book section." And you're just like, I don't remember what it was, but I knew it wasn't a section he had. He was just being a dick. And you're just like, fuck you. You work here. Assist me. I think, by the way, British customer service is the way it is because people just like queues in that country. So they just want people to have to spend more time in the shop so a queue might develop.
And I think people are good at queuing here as well. It's kind of a national sport. There's
exceptional queuing.
Unwritten rules, but yeah, when I lived in Paris, it took me ages to buy a train ticket because I just didn't have the killer instinct in me. I just wasn't ready to muscle in, bash someone out the way. I was used to standing and waiting.
Wait, you have to like muscle in and be like out of the way, toots?
Yeah,
daddy's coming in.
Yeah, you got to earn that ticket. You can't. It's not given to you. It's a very sort of a neo-Darwinian nightmare. Yeah. You just have to. You're staying. This is where you live now if you're going to be patient.
I love that. I mean, here's the thing with I don't believe in stereotypes, and yet anything you read about the French, you just go, yeah, I can see that. Like, there's nothing about that where you're like, what? Yeah, no, that's them.
Sarkozy going to jail. I saw it last night, and I was like, yeah, you know.
We're all three of us about to bring up Nicolas Sarkozy going to jail, but house arrest because of COVID. Where I'm like, first of all, that's all of us. Like, that was the thing. I was just like, but that's just all of us.
But they need him for parades later. He's still going to get to be in parades. They're not going to cut him out of the will.
I mean,
he's just on timeout for a little while.
There's no better job than being the president of Italy or France. You get that job, you become somehow a billionaire in like fiber optic communications. Mm-hmm. You're corrupt as fuck. You have sex with a bunch of models weirdly, like, while being married, and then you just are like, oh, you're arrested. And he's like, okay, what did you do? I did that. Yeah. All right, I'll see you later.
I did my job. I think I just like the image of, I think he's got to wear one of those tags, right? Like an ankle tag. I just like the image of him completely naked, sitting on the toilet in the morning with that ankle tag on. And that is his punishment.
How often do you think about the fact that the Queen Elizabeth shits? I think about it more than I think is healthy. Like, I'm like all the power in the world. She has given a speech just thinking, I didn't get all of it.
Ooh, itch. Oh no.
I'm not even thinking of that. I'm thinking that, have you ever had that moment where you think you're done with a Duke? You get up, hand wash, you're on with your business, and then you realize, no.
There's a passenger.
Yeah. There was the
Boxcar Willie, get off my train.
The baby is still on the plane. I now feel like very listful for Soho. I always like when I miss London. It's very rare. Like, I miss like my neighborhood in London, in like the Manor House Finsbury Park region, and I miss Central London. In my head, I always imagine those things as being next to each other, and then I go to London and I'm like, oh wait, no.
I find that if I watch a movie that takes place in London now, specifically action films where they do the flyover to establish what city you're in, that like breaks my heart. I go, I technically live there.
Yeah.
I have technically lived there for the last year, and I miss the London Eye at this point. I hate the London Eye. I hate everything about it.
You hate the London Eye. I love it, possibly for the same reasons you hate it. I hope, by the way, that Ben's fine with it in a beautiful, love it, fine, hate. Ben, thoughts on the London Eye?
When I heard they were putting it up originally, I was cynical. What is this? Waste of money, nonsense. But I used to have a tour guiding job, and I'd get free rides on the London Eye, and it is good. It is very, very nice.
I'm sure it is, but what? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I recommend this. It's relaxing. It's peaceful, especially if you go up with like a map and you can figure out which buildings are which. That's pretty cool.
But for me, it's the placement of it. It's not its existence. It's where they put it, because there's that square right behind it, where you can sit in the park and everything like that. I realized when I was walking past it once that was one of like 2 places in central London where you could have looked out and seen more than 20 feet ahead of you that wasn't down the road. It was an open vista that would have looked across the Thames. It was a nice place to be. And they looked at this opportunity for a single view in central London and went, cover it up.
Yeah, great. Welcome to English people. This seems nice. Destroy it.
Yeah. So I hate it for that.
By the way, but then why don't you just go stand on one of the many bridges and then just look down the Thames in an uninstructed, beautiful
But that's just a wet road. I want to look across something, not along something.
But that's why I'm going to disagree. That's why I like the Thames, because the Thames is so windy. It's like it's a bit of wet road and then a boom building, bitch.
I love the Thames. I used to hang out at the South Bank Center all the time. It was National Gallery. When I got tired of walking, sit at the South Bank Center with my 99p Pret coffee and do my writing sitting there.
Beat that fucking coffee.
That was it. That was every day, and then I would get a train to a show. That was every single day.
David Hoare coming in strong, baby.
Oh, I've got Rizlas. God damn it.
Damn. I would say I see what you're saying. I prefer the London Eye is cool for seeing it, but the Shard is an actual spectacular view because you actually see London End, and that's so weird. Because even on an airplane, even when you're taking off, it goes high to you still only see the city like that, just this never-ending fucking spread. And then the Shard is so big you see green, like you actually see it, like it's fucking great.
That's pretty cool. If you want to see a very, very London moment at the Shard, Friday around 6 p.m., 6:30, stand outside the entrance, and there will be a line of prostitutes waiting to go in. That is a very London moment.
Where are they going? Oh, it's a hotel.
It's also for bankers. It's for office people. It's for CEOs. And so it's a Friday night Coke party, Wolf of Wall Street inspired baccalarium. What do you call it?
Still do that? I mean, after the 2008 crash, maybe I don't want to be too extreme, but I assume anyone behaving like that should have their head cut off, and I'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't brag about it like they used to, but they are still doing it. They suffered no consequences. They're the same.
It's more perverse than that, because they're now doing it in a building where the walls are windows and we can see exactly what's happening.
But they're so high that no, you can't. They're literally above us. Yeah.
Ben, you're
David, yes, absolutely. I think that bankers emulated Wolf of Wall Street the way that gangsters emulated The Sopranos. Breaking Bad better than The Sopranos. Not even kidding.
Absolutely not true. That is absolutely not true. Go fuck yourself. London is it's on. Yeah, absolutely. I will never forget. My dad pointed this out. Is that there's a tailor in the city of London, which is he just has a suit that he's made for the bankers when they go all night drinking, and have showed back up in the office wearing their super expensive suit from the day before. And so you'll see a line of assistants and bankers there to pick up their suit, because there's a guy there 24 hours. So you just call in with your name, and it's like there's a time. I don't remember what it is, but there's a time you pick up. And he's basically done, like he's closed by something weird, like 11 a.m. He's tailoring, altering, having the suit ready, but that's it. Like that is such a decadent gig. What do? I hold on to the custom suit of a cokehead. I know he's gonna need it. Would you?
There's also a good meaning the fancy cars. You know, doing like a sort of 40 grand polish up on a Lambo.
Do you? I never understand when I'm in London, New York, LA. I do get it when you see a flash car in LA because it's a driving city. But when in London and New York, when you see someone in like a fucking Rolls Royce motherfucker, I'm just like, you're a dick. Get on the fucking tube.
Well, at least, I mean, a Rolls Royce, I understand more than like a Ferrari or a Lamborghini or a Lotus or something like that. Like cars that are built for speed. Whereas like a Rolls Royce, you know that in the back, they've got it decked out where it's the most comfortable car you've ever been in. And so I kind of understand that. If you're driving around London, it takes forever to get anywhere. It's a comfortable car. It's ostentatious, whatever. It's the sports cars that I don't understand. What are you doing driving like a Mustang?
Yeah, at 30 miles an hour. It looks pathetic. It's like the worst setting on Mario Kart.
Yeah. They weren't my prostitutes. It's just a friend of mine bartended in the area, and he noticed it and told me about it. That's all.
Yeah, sex workers. It's always fascinating. I remember discovering a friend of mine dated a sex worker in Toronto, and I remember we were at a bar, and she pointed at an office building and went like, she was like, floor 11 and 12, giant bordello, and I was like, what? And like it's just one of those things where like I feel like that person finding out people are smoking pot. I'm like, what? Why are they? Don't pay for it. Just go for it. Like, you'll find someone to love.
That's not the point, John. You're missing the point.
I know this has been explained to me a lot. That it's the whole like it's a power dynamic thing, and it's a whole status of the culture. I just don't fucking get it at all.
Yeah, it's like going to a restaurant as opposed to cooking at home. You know, put it that way. Sometimes you just want someone else to provide the atmosphere for you.
No, that's not the. I don't agree with that at all. No one like. No.
All right, fair enough. Took a swing. What are you gonna do?
I liked it. Would either of you consider prostitution? I would, as in becoming a prostitute.
Oh, there was a brief moment when I was in Nice where I was like, I should see if I can find a sugar mama. I feel like that's a good life.
Yeah, I am very conflicted on it. I would go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, I would. Sure.
I feel like of the three of us, Ben, you get the highest price because I feel like you'd be like, I think you'd be able to deliver the goods in a way that I couldn't. I would have to be like, I'm a prostitute, but I can do stuff to you, but you can't, like, I can't participate in anything else because I'm not attracted. And Ben would be like, oh, if you think that there's actual sex involved, incorrect. And then you'd have a contraption. Like then the bicycle from your Edinburgh show would pop in. You'd have somebody jump off and cycle away.
I can do magic, close up, and I can also do DIY and your laundry.
Oh. Yeah, you'd be an excellent houseboy. Have I talked to you guys? Have I talked on the stream about my weird obsession about getting a houseboy? That's my new thing that I want to have. I want to be rich enough just because it would be such an like. Why do you're not Liberace? Just why is there a very well-toned man in a thong and it's like, oh, that's my houseboy? What does he do? He does that.
You mean like a is that the same thing as a rent boy?
No, a houseboy is like it's like Liberace always. It's essentially a butler, but he just is very scantily clad. As best.
But Liberace was gay and was definitely having sex with this houseboy,
no, I don't
which
think he was
I think makes him a rent boy.
I think he was having sex with everyone else, but the houseboy sort of managed. He managed the other boys that were being fucked by Liberace, but the houseboy himself was not being fucked. Because
where do they talk about this? Do they mention?
I'm making 100% all of that up, and this is
cool.
all just what yeah. David, we're coming in strong. A butler, if you will. But am I crazy with this whole houseboy theory? Confirm, deny, gentlemen.
What would you? What would your houseboy be tasked with doing?
Excellent question.
House tasks,
like sweeping up,
sweeping, definitely.
Gathering empties
of all description.
Yeah.
Not bed making. I enjoy doing that myself.
What about things like scrubbing your back or like hard to reach areas?
I can take care of that. I got a stick.
So it's not a coming to America situation. It's not bathing.
Yeah, they are not. This is not a royal wiper situation.
Okay. Wouldn't you prefer it? Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, please.
No, Ben. I want to hear what you're going to say. Mine can wait.
What about things outside the house, like getting your shopping done or collecting post?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And does he have to be in the bathing suit while he does that?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Depends on what errand. Depends on my mood. It would be what it is. Yeah. Oh, this is a big one. Very much in charge of keeping this filled with water.
I feel like you'd throw an empty one at him a lot. What do I even pay you for?
I'd be a very good boss. I'd be caustic, like Joan, like one of those like a 30s starlet. Like I would never yell, but I'd just walk over and go, "Of course you're wearing those trousers," and then just disappear into another wing of my oddly large bungalow. Oh, I have a large house in this scenario, by the way.
I thought so. It'd be a weird thing to have in a studio apartment. Just a guy.
Why have you chosen a bungalow and not like 2 floors? You're gonna have a bigger garden, you know?
There's something old school Hollywood about a bungalow in LA. There's something about it where it's like you don't have 2 floors. It's too much to cool. I don't know. Like it's just something about this. Yeah. Different outfits for different errands. Absolutely great point.
Why do you want someone who will do things for you? I would have thought that you would be more of like a Cato situation of a guy who sort of helps you, but also attacks you randomly.
Also, that would be part of it. And also, no, but I'm talking Cato Green Hornet, not Cato from Pink Panther, where it's also like driver, could do some karate, maybe. Yeah. I've decided that's part of it. Martial arts involved. This is 100%. I mean, what happens if I make this Craigslist advertisement? You know what? What would happen if I made this? Can we find out? Can we see what would happen if I make that Craigslist?
I know exactly how this ends. You end up having a guy try to murder you while you sleep, like David Spade.
That's oh my God, that story is so nuts. Ben, do you know this story? Or a FetLife profile. I mean, Alex Watson is now in the running for Governor General of the Stream, which I think we're all very impressed. Exactly what I'm talking about. Yes, Hanking's area on the third page is exactly that.
So what's the David Spade story? Because I've heard about the Craigslist murder thing and the cannibal stuff that happened on there as well, but nothing to do with David Spade that I know of.
John, you'll remember the details better than me.
So David Spade had an assistant whose name was something like Patchy or Rusty or Gooey.
Basically a David Spade character.
Yeah, like he was like he was an overweight drug addict hired just after Chris Farley died. I wonder why. And like the guy had a bunch of problems and was like always kind of weirdly jealous of David Spade, but like had all the codes to his house, could get in and out. And one night David Spade is asleep and is woken up to this guy trying to choke David Spade to death. And then David Spade runs away and calls the police, and this guy's like arrested, and then it becomes like a whole crazy stalking. But it was like a lot harder to get to a phone because like, imagine you have a home invasion and the guy like knows your house perfectly and is trying to kill you. So it's like, you know, all your like secret home shortcuts. He's got them clocked, baby. Like it's one of those things where he's like a very close friend. So it's also like, if David Spade had been like, oh, if someone comes to invade my home, this is my strategy. That's foiled now because all of that has been.
But did anyone ever find out why this dude was trying to choke David Spade? Was it
jealous of his fame? That's come on, buddy. You can aim higher in your aspirations, eh?
Yeah, you want to be David Spade? I mean, we've all heard of him, sure, but when was the last time you saw Joe Dirt?
I mean, Joe Dirt is a classic, and I will stand by it. Kid Rock's the bad guy.
I'm cool. No, you're not. Way to go, kid.
Let me guess. It's more like this. Yeah.
I heard that Keanu Reeves woke up one night with somebody, his stalker, in his house taking a shower, which I think is quite weird. It's quite a class move as far as stalking goes. Like, I want to use your shampoo. I want to know what flavor your soap is.
It's also half an invitation. Oh, if he finds me in the shower, ooh, you know, that's creepier to me. Just try to kill me. Just get to the point. Don't tease me. with your weird pseudo-sexual techniques.
I have such respect for Keanu Reeves because he, in clearly what was a depression, lived in hotels for years. Like, you know that whole story of Keanu Reeves? His wife had a miscarriage and then died in a car accident, like in a year. Like he had one of those, like much like Neil Peart from Rush, where it's like Neil Peart in the same year his daughter died in a car accident and his wife died of cancer, like within 9 months, and you're just like,
Jesus Christ.
And then Neil Peart's strategy, by the way, was he got on a motorcycle and rode his motorcycle, I think between Chile, like something like between Chile and Alaska, like literally just was like, where the fuck are you going, Neil? And we just send people random postcards that like were like, I'm fine. But Keanu Reeves lived, it's so fucking heartbreaking, lived something like 5 or 6 years just in hotels, always just traveling when he wanted to travel.
Was it hotels or was it just the hotel? Is it Montmartre in LA or just outside LA?
I think it was random hotels. No, Chateau Marmont is very much in LA. It's one of the places where I was like, why haven't I just walked in there? Like I walked in to the Rainbow Bar and Grill as soon as I moved here. It is also, by the way, if you're ever in LA, Rainbow Bar and Grill is possibly the best rock and roll bar of all time because it's the one that they're all based off of. And rock and roll is just that right level of popular now where it's only people that actually like those bands go there.
Nice.
And because it's so old, it was just an Italian restaurant before. So it weirdly has very good Italian food. So you get shit hammered drunk and then go, I really want some spaghetti.
Aces and Eights kind of like that in Tufnell Park. I love playing that venue because if you get a nice paid gig, you can walk upstairs and have a good pizza.
That's true. That is the one thing that I do. Because pizza is so hard to come by in England. When you get good pizza, like that place that does it by squares in Covent Garden, phenomenal.
Pizza is everywhere in London. What are you talking about? It's all over the place. This is nonsense.
It's not good pizza.
Did you ever try Ferezza? Great pizza. They're all over the city.
No, I tried the pizza place that was on Seven Sisters Road. Phenomenal.
Yeah, it was great. I remember we went there for your birthday one year.
Yes.
That place.
Papagones?
That's great too.
Oh,
yeah, there's a bunch of great pizza.
What else is also a great place, which Ben turned me on to right before this madness all fucking started, which is the kebab shop behind Finsbury Park. Jesus fucking Christ. How had I never gone there before? It's perfect.
We're defined behind Finsbury Park.
Okay, so you know when you're behind Finsbury Park Station?
Okay, cool.
And there's that kebab shop there, and you go
in like the bus stop part.
Bing fucking go, buddy.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
good to know.
Good spot, and they're open late. They understand. They take care of you.
I've been very drunk in there and probably rude.
What's your favorite post gig food?
I mean,
or post gig place to kind of hang out.
Post gig place to hang out, or post gig food? Because for me, it's two different things.
Well, I really like going to Mauer's in Soho where they do falafel. It's open late. Tasty.
Nice.
What about you guys?
My favorite place, and it doesn't exist anymore, and this is very weird, which was when Top Secret Comedy Club was in its first location.
Oh yeah, the Africa Center.
When it was in the Africa Center, that place after gigs was amazing. To sit on that stoop, because you'd get Covent Garden. You don't think of as it stops being central London because London it's so busy in the day, but then all of that kind of moves to Soho and Leicester Square a bit, but there's still people in all the bars. So there's just enough buzz, but it's quiet. So many amazingly fun times sitting on that stoop, just being dum-dums. Phenomenal.
Mine is, it used to be a bar called Lab, which has since become Swift. And Swift is like a beautiful bar, but it's not as sort of raucous and fun as Lab used to be. So now it's Crowbar.
Crowbar is good. Also, we should mention the baseball diamond in Finsbury Park.
Always. So where's Crowbar?
Yeah, where's Crowbar?
Just around the corner from Foyles. You know where the where Tin Pan Alley is, all the music stores.
Yeah.
Across the street from that, there's like remember the old sex store that was on the corner, the sex books, green front. It's right next to that down an alley.
Nice.
And it's a tiny little metal bar, and it's got amazing bourbon. It's got just like old 80s metal. Everyone in there is a goddamn sweetheart because all the pricks think that metalheads are mean, and so they stay away. I love it.
I have some really bad news for you, Chris, and I think I knew this.
Oh, did Crowbar shut? I can't read that. Oh no! Oh, that bar was perfect. It was so dirty.
I remember going there now.
I loved it there. I fucking loved it there.
Is
just dudes singing Iron Maiden at the top of their lungs, you know?
Intrepid Fox still around?
The what?
Intrepid Fox is a sort of metal bar behind. It used to be on, I think, Wardour Street, and then it moved to just behind the Google offices, and it's in a very strange sort of dilapidated modernist building.
Oh yeah.
It looks like the sort of place that you'd play Laser Quest in, except they serve.
Oh man. Best, by the way, post gig food is the chip shop. If you're coming out of Manor House tube station, that is around the corner from the Green Market off license. Get the chicken and chips, and it's the stress that you want the bowl. They're gonna go chicken and chips or chicken and chips, and you go chicken and chips, and then they're gonna take all of the chips, cover that in chicken, and then cover all of that in all of the salad they have, and then put white sauce and spicy sauce on it, and then shake it up a little while you're walking home. Holy shit.
Nice.
This is a grim tilt for the stream, just Googling to see if beloved places still exist. I mean, we really entered in.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what is
pull up.
I'm actually going to look up a place that I love as well right now because I can't remember what it's called, but I need to know if it still exists.
And I have a plan, which is we're now gonna.
I was I think the first bar person at the Bill Murray pub, which is a great the home of and we used to. They have a sort of we used to wrap up at about 2 a.m. and then wander on down to the Lexington, which is a good live music.
That's what I was thinking of. I was looking for the Lexington.
Such a good place. It's open till about 4 a.m. Everything is just whiskey and bourbon. And I went so many times. They gave us like a 40% off discount for the rest of my life. So I have like a nice card.
Is that still going?
Is the Bill Murray all right? I keep assuming it is.
The Bill Murray is good. I think it's. I think they got the Cultural Recovery Fund.
Oh, good.
And I think they're now, they're still fundraising through their fans. But thank the Lord they're still around.
Yeah. It's one of those ones where I don't get to play it nearly as much as I want to, but I just like knowing it's there. It also is weird to me that I remember it opening, so to my head, and then I left within 2 years. So in my head, it just opened. It's been open for 5 years, right?
2016. Yeah, 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
But really, it's been closed for 1.5 years. So let's shave some of that off.
No, it's just a year. It didn't close in January of 2020.
Yeah, they're just like, let's get ahead of this.
Yeah. Chris, you were going to talk about a place, and then I'm going to talk. Then I have a plan, and then we'll wrap this sucker up.
I honestly never cared. If by the end of the night I'm so drunk that as long as it's big and salty, I'm happy. I didn't care. Kebab shop, pizza, burgers, feed it to me. I'm a happy boy. I am never less discerning than at the end of a night out.
I gotta tell you this: I'm never happier than when I don't eat after getting super drunk, because you don't I sometimes will feel much worse, but I'm also never happier than when I'm eating and drunk.
Oh, it's the best. Oh, actually, you know what? I'll say some of the all-night Chinese food places in Chinatown. I'll say that because I've had great nights in there. And there was one in particular we used to go to where it was too late to serve beer, but if you ordered cold tea, they gave you a teapot full of beer.
Of course, yes, the classic cold tea trick.
Yeah, just fantastic.
What is one thing, and we'll wrap up on this, what is one thing that brings you all joy? I wrote these down yesterday.
Ooh. You're planning now. This is becoming a show.
I mean, in many ways. What
I
is
planted some trees in our garden, and they're just starting to leaf. I thought they wouldn't survive the winter because they were very young, but I'm just excited to see them grow over the coming years.
Nice.
Chris?
What are you hopeful for, Chris?
Or hopeful, or something that brings you joy?
Something that brings me joy. I've been enjoying, now that it's nice enough out again, I can sit on my stoop and drink coffee and read a book and watch the neighbors mill around and feel like I'm in a community again. I like that. I like that
And
very much.
You guys have a good stoop as well. You've almost
Really
got a Brooklyn brownstone stoop going on.
Yeah, full like 5 steps, and if it's raining, I can tuck up under our arch outside the door is just wide enough that if I tuck up against the door, the rain can't get me, so I can just hear the rain falling, and if it's warm enough, I can read and drink out there. It's nice.
Lovely. What are you reading at the moment?
I'm trying to get back into books. I've read the first 10 pages of a bunch of different books. Right now, I'm working on Stranger Than We Can Imagine, Making Sense of the 21st Century. And it's about like a lot of the ideas. Currently, I'm reading a chapter about the rise of individualism, and I've been thinking about how hierarchies are actually hyper individualism just for one guy.
What?
Because everyone in the hierarchy is involved in propping up a system that allows the person at the top to do whatever they want all the time. So it's like weird manifest destiny individualism at the expense of everyone else's. It's just a theory I'm working on.
I disagree with your theory, and you're wrong.
Okay, well, I'll flesh it out and prove you wrong again.
Good. I'd like to hear it. I mean, I've got a bunch. I had to make a list yesterday. Just because I was trying to be positive. I love texting. I love texting. It brings me so much joy. I don't know. I like phone calls too, but texting, it's fun. It's busy.
Little digital postcards.
For me,
texting I think of as digital postcards, and then if you write a long one, I call it a tessay. You guys can have that.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
I think my favorite is drinking coffee on trains in England. That brings me so much joy of sitting out the window, music on, coffee. Like it was so much of something I did for like 5 years, but that moment, fucking great. It's fucking great.
That trip to Edinburgh from London, that liter of coffee you get through. Ooh.
Oh, wonderful. Oh man.
I mean, I don't know what it was about my bookings, but I always got the seat that didn't have a window. You know when it's like window, wall, window. Almost every time I would get the one that was wall. I don't know why trainline.com hates me so much, but it's so many times.
But I specify on I had it like trainline.com. I feel like I kept in business I had it down where I went table front facing with a window. Like I would, and like I could use like boom right in.
Well, they could tell that you were tall through the app. That's the problem. So they bend to your will, whereas they just bullied me.
I think it was also just the amount of money I was giving them. They were like, might as well.
Hey, you and me both. I was on the road every week.
That's true. Hey, would you like to? This just reminds me of how I got out of paying a ticket for not having the network rail card we're all supposed to have for Southern travel that I just didn't get, but just said I had on the Trainline app. So I got caught on my birthday going to Brighton not having a network train line card. And I probably shouldn't tell the story. So I got it and they were like, and then I went, but I was like, it says here if I can produce on the day that I have a network train line card, this fine is null and void or it's reduced. That's what it was reduced by like 50%.
Okay.
Which they're stupid. I can just get to my destination and buy a network rail card and then be like, I left it at home because it doesn't have a purchase date on it. It just has an expiry date.
Or whatever. You say stupid. They also just sold you a network railway card.
Sure.
So they get half the fine and the sale. So it's a bit.
Here's where it twists. I forget to buy the network rail card in Brighton, go back to King's Cross get back to St. Pancras. And then I'm like, oh fuck, I need to pay this fine. I ask a staff member, where do I pay this fine? Like it says like, go to this address. And they were like, oh, you go over there. And I walk through. I end up in the hyper secure part of King's Cross Station where they have like evidence of rail crime at the actual office somehow, because they literally just like keep walking. I'm like, I'm here to like do a thing with Network Rail, and they're like, yeah, and like opening key to the point that I knock on the door and I'm like, I gotta pay this fine. And he was just like, how did you get back here? And I was like, they just kept opening doors. And he's like, what? And I was like, yeah, I need to pay this fine. He's like, you can't be here. And I'm like, can I pay this fine? And he's like, no, like I can't. He was like, I mean, like, don't what? Like, can you not tell here? And he like took a thing and stamped it, and it said pay. Like he like paid and like took a thing, and he just wiped the fine. So I win.
So the lesson is, if you get a fine, penetrate a secure location,
right,
so that they're so impressed that they decide not to charge you.
I don't think they were impressed. I think it was even better. It's the more English emotion, which is shock at something awry. Therefore, everything must be destroyed. I guarantee that guy committed suicide later that day. Ben, is there anything you'd like to plug this fine day?
I've made a pretty and sincere, but I don't think offensive short film, which you can get the link on my Twitter feed.
I think that our amazing mod, there it is, and your Twitter is right up there. Also, you can donate to Ben at his Ko-fi.
Thank you.
And because he will use it to make art, unlike most of us who will use it to buy alcohol.
I use most money I make from Twitter or Twitch at this point for sweets and junk food. Yeah. Chris, plugs of some description?
I'm doing verses tomorrow, 7:30. So follow my Twitch stream. We're doing verses with Elliot Steele and Gareth Waugh. I'm going to be called a cuck so many times.
Why do you think that?
It just feels like a real Elliot Steele move.
Yeah. I remember arguing about Brexit with that guy for a long time. Yeah. I like Elliot, and we definitely had a very calm moment, but I did have to take a second when he said, well, what about the European Union Army? And I right there was like, well, that doesn't exist.
Yeah, but that's why I think he's going to be well suited to the game, is he will take any stance and just defend it.
But he'll listen. This is the thing I'll give Elliot. Yeah. Unlike a lot of fucks.
Yeah.
He'll go, oh yeah, you are right. Which is, then I'm right there. I'm like, God bless. I fucking love Elliot. Also, I didn't know that Elliot Steele, when I met him, was 17.
That sounds right. Yeah, he was super young when he broke in.
You fucking old ghost. Because I bullied him like as a joke because I thought he was like a few years younger than me. I didn't realize he was like. I remember when he was like, "Man, I can't believe it. I'm 22 now," and I was like, "Hang on, what?"
Yeah, so that's live at 7:30. Basically, I debate with Elliot while Gareth judges who argued best and generally fucks with us. It's one of my favorite things to do. It's very, very fun. So follow that. Come and play tomorrow. Thanks, man.
I'm doing comedy and watching wrestling with Colt Cabana on Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please join that. If you want to watch me do some nonsense new jokes on Friday over Zoom, I'm literally just trialing brand new material on there. So please join. I still don't know if the mics will be muted or unmuted, but we will give it a good, solid college try. Also on March 7th, I will be doing the Zoom Diner with Liz Mealy. Please go check that out. It's very, very fun. All of their gigs and stuff like that are on my website.
John has a Discord. John has a Discord.
You join our Discords. Support Ben Tarjay. He's making art. That's very good. And now we're gonna raid. Masood Milas. That's what I think we're gonna go with.
Oh, cool.
Can someone put in? Can we have Ben back sometime? Ben, can you come back sometime?
For sure. This has been a delight. It's so good to see you both.
It's so nice to see you as well.
Can I just say that I actually miss you?
I miss you too.
Ben, I miss you too. I was saying.
Ben was the nice thing because he lived in Ioneer, so Ben and I used to go for coffee at that really nice cafe by the Haringey train station.
Oh, that's a great cafe. That's
great
really
cafe.
Nice. Yeah.
Cafe.
I was just, Ben, the other day, someone posted on Twitter that it was a year since her first comedy gig, and it was one of the women who did your course where I emceed their first show. And I was like, man, I miss Ben Tarjay. That was such a nice time.
What is the course you're teaching, Ben? I know we're wrapping up, but I'm intrigued by this.
I teach stand-up to beginners at the Bill Murray, and Chris comes and MCs the kind of graduation course, and the course graduation is a gig, and Chris MCs it extremely well, which is
thanks, man.
And yeah, I mean, I've been teaching classes throughout lockdown volumes 1 to 5, and so there's a lot of guys who want to graduate, Chris. So hopefully, when the clubs open back up, there will be some nice gigs there for you. I hope.
Yeah, let me know. That'd be great. It was such a sweet gig, because obviously most of the people were there to support their friends and everything, but just a great atmosphere. You taught them so well. So many of them were so funny already. And one thing that I like is, like, a lot of the time when you see people come out of comedy courses, like there was a running gag of the people who took the one at the Comedia, where you could tell that they did because of the way they took the mic out of the stand and then put the mic stand down at the back. They all had individual voices. You fostered creativity.
Yeah, I was going to say,
such a beautiful thing.
I think Ben would be a good teacher for it, because Ben isn't going to concentrate on stuff that stand-up courses always do, which is things like you get your tight. Ben will literally sit there and be like, do actually something important and understand the structure of creativity, which in the end is what you're supposed to teach, as someone who went to theater school and actually got a lot out of it. Like, I am not one of those people that doesn't think you can't teach the arts. I think you can. It's just you have to be very specific in how you do it. And the problem with a lot of it is it gets into fucking whiplash territory with just a fucking bald person in a tight t-shirt just going, my count.
Or like David Lynch and Louis, where he's just like, be funny. Be funny.
Am I the only one that I'm so shocked David Lynch doesn't have a pod? Do you know how much money I would contribute if they were like, David Lynch is doing a podcast? David Lynch should just do, and like, it could just be David Lynch talking about birds. If you want to, like, holy shit.
Have you watched his weather reports?
No. What are those?
Go to YouTube, the David Lynch weather report.
I mean, we were
so good.
Let's just watch one of these, shall we? Hello, Dana.
Just so I know for the raid, is it Masood's name? Just Masood Milas?
It is. I had to write it down looking at it because I didn't want to have what happened with Colt Cabana, and I just missed it. Wait, what the fuck is this?
Well, I think, Alex, if I had to pick a raid message, it would be Breaking Bad is better than Sopranos. Not even kidding.
Oh, fuck you all. I mean, I'm fine with that because people will just take it as a ridiculous notion.
Good morning. It's February 1.
You can all hear that, yeah?
2021.
You can hear David Lynch? Okay, great.
Yeah.
Come on.
And it's a Monday. This is a day I was going to announce that I was going to take a break from doing the weather report and picking the number of the day.
Wait, what?
But then I read the comments yesterday, and it hit me once again.
Oh, Masood is offline. We're
What
moving
a
the
great
hands.
group you all are who subscribe or visit, the David Lynch Theater. So thoughtful and so kind you are. And I'm so thankful there are people like you in this world. So we're going to continue on. And
is he dying in this video?
I wish, no matter what the weather is, I wish for all of you blue skies and golden sunshine internally all along the way. Everyone, have a great day.
What a weird way to give the weather, David Lynch.
He's so wonderful. I mean, I know we're wrapping up, but have you guys watched the David Lynch documentary, Life of Art?
No.
That sounds amazing.
It's fantastic. And while you're watching it, he talks about his childhood. And while he's telling those stories, you can be like, well, that's that character in Twin Peaks. And that's that event in Twin Peaks. It's like eerie. Yeah, but it's really beautiful.
In his hometown, but his hometown wasn't near a mountain. And because David Lynch is just very, like, he was like, it's got to be a mountain. Mm-hmm. There was the other guy that was involved in it. Oh,
whose name no one ever remembers.
There's the other guy that clearly is just so bewildered all that, because David Lynch, I guarantee this is David Lynch as a creative force. Just like he has some like cereal or something ludicrous in a cup, and he's just like, we never discover who killed Laura Palmer, and then just leaves. It's like, wait, what? What do we have to figure out? Can you get
Mark Frost? Thank you, David.
Can you get a room of red carpet and mirrors? I want Kyle MacLachlan to wander from that, but I've scheduled it for tomorrow. And he's like, I always picture David Lynch just arriving with an unnecessary creative problem and then disappearing. Like,
I see him more as a Werner Herzog, where he shows up with one and then rolls up his sleeves and he's like, if no one else is going to do this, I'm going to goddamn do it.
I picture Werner Herzog differently, but Werner Herzog doesn't. I truly believe Werner Herzog thinks he's a mainstream filmmaker. Like, if you see him in interviews, he, I think, is shocked by how he's become this cartoonish version of pretension. Like, I think he thinks he's like, but the thing you have to remember is I am the Justin Timberlake of beautiful art. Like,
well, that's that's another book I've been trying to read. Is what's it called? Here, I'll grab it.
I mean, is anyone else really hopefully just about to grab a Stephen King book and it doesn't really Herzog at all?
It's just porn. It's just really thick. Werner Herzog, A Guide for the Perplexed.
Oh my God, what bear?
And it's a guy interviewing him because that's how he wanted to do his autobiography. He didn't want to just write it. So a guy just asked him questions, and he clearly has contempt for the guy asking him questions. It's so great.
This is why Werner Herzog's greatest role he ever played was in Parks and Rec, when he was just the guy that owned the creepy house.
Yeah, it was great. I'm going to move to Disneyland.
I want to move to Orlando to be closer to Disneyland.
Yeah.
No, this was the house they put the people that went insane from working at the doll factory. I mean, I just want to do a Werner Herzog impression. All of the reason why I had an impression. Oh, I fucking love him. All right. What's the stupid message that you fucks have agreed on?
Oh, it's Breaking Bad is better than Sopranos. Not even kidding.
I'm not even going to fucking Hands Stream to be part of this nonsense.
All right. It's a doll factory.
No, why don't we just put? Why don't we just do? No, you can be. Breaking Bad is better than The Sopranos. I'm fine with that lie. Hashtag liars. Ben, which is better, Sopranos or Breaking Bad?
You're gonna hate me for this, but I haven't seen either.
I mean, I like. I'm not that guy.
But I will explain. I grew up in a house where TV was seen as some sort of portal to Satan. So I've been using this lockdown to brush up on all the stuff I missed.
Oh, I mean,
what's on that list?
Yeah, what's on that list?
So Friends, The Simpsons, I've done all of South Park.
Oh, you didn't grow up with The Simpsons? That actually breaks my heart. That makes me really sad.
Going through The Simpsons, that is, unfortunately now, that is a beautiful short walk and then a real trudge through some mud. But all of South Park, because I got to tell you, South Park, much like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, you walk away going, how the fuck have they kept this up?
Yeah.
Like the gentrification
remarkable.
in South Park is one of the greatest conceived long jokes ever. And has the best Caitlyn Jenner joke I've ever seen in my entire life.
that joke is remarkable. Yeah,
I'm not even going to ruin it. Just go look up the South Park Caitlyn Jenner.
Caitlyn Jenner's a beautiful woman. She's a beautiful woman.
Yeah, but what makes that is then every
I know. Yeah,
she then hits them with the car. How much Simpsons did you watch, Benjamin?
I'm just on the early ones at the moment.
Good. There's going to be a moment sometime after the episode where Homer goes to Lollapalooza where you're going to go, what happened to this show? And that's what happened.
Maybe I'll stop there then and just keep it.
That's the moment.
It's worth it.
Yeah. Because it's just is perfect. Jenner is the Broderick of South Park. I mean, yeah. It's a weird reoccurring theme here on the podcast as we talk a lot about the fact that Matthew Broderick killed two people on his honeymoon.
2 people. Yeah. He was drunk driving, hit him with his car, kept going.
Ooh, can we go with this is the Raid Menger? The plungers are in Poundland?
Yes, done. The plungers are in Poundland is excellent. Good job, Baldy.
Poundland. Baldy,
Yeah.
I'm saying that. Who are we saying is D-Carp is Governor General of the stream tomorrow?
Yeah. Yeah. Congratulations, D-Carp. Well played.
Yes. Congratulations, D-Carp. Well played. We will see you all tomorrow. David Horace, send me something which I don't know what that is, David, but we will watch it tomorrow. And we will see you all tomorrow at 10 p.m. UK time, 2 p.m. Pacific time, all times in between. There is no mega stream on Thursday, but a regular stream on Thursday. That will be rescheduled because I have to do a grant meeting. Thank you so much for Ben Tarjay. Let's go raid. We're raiding Hangs with Hands now.
Cool.
Chris.
Cool.
You got that?
On it.
Enjoy.
I don't know if this is going to work.
No,
I hope it is.
This. Yep, me too. All right. See you all tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.
Yay! That worked. Yes, go raid now.
I don't know if my raid worked. I'm trying it again on the website now here because I was doing it on the app. And I feel like it failed.